Ladies and gents, I am the one and only DJ Storms. Welcome back to the channel here on YouTube.com. Of course, it is Saturday. Yes, the 4th of July, 2020, although it does not look like the 4th of July right now. I am recording this after work. You guys are watching it on the 4th of July. With that being said, happy 4th of July weekend to everyone. Hope you guys have been having a very good, very happy, very healthy, and safe 4th of July weekend. Maintaining social distancing, practicing social distancing, wearing your masks. Wear your fucking masks, people, alright? Wear your masks. But anyway, we're not here to talk about masks. We're not here to talk about COVID. We're here to talk about NXT. The Great American Bash, night number 1. Of course, there is no Lightning Flash update today. I wasn't planning on doing a review on the Great American Bash, but considering that it's pretty much a mini pay-per-view in itself, I thought to myself, why not? And considering that NXT, they really needed a bounce back, and this was, in a sense, their bounce back, because over the last few months, NXT has not felt like NXT at all, and everyone has been feeling it throughout the community. I've been seeing it all over Twitter. People have hated what NXT has become ever since Charlotte Flair won the NXT Women's Championship at WrestleMania, and then they instituted the Drake Maverick storyline. You can just clearly see the influence that Vince McMahon is having over NXT, and I fucking hate that we're seeing it. But regardless of some of the main roster influences on NXT, this was actually a very good show. Welcome to the Rewind for NXT, the Great American Bash, night number 1. Of course, you already know me, Mr. Controversy, the one and only. But it's been a very interesting weekend because the results, at least a result, of night number 2 was actually leaked on Twitter. So if you do not know and you are not aware of this, please exit out of the video right now if you do not want the spoiler. It's pretty crazy how it all worked out. I believe it was a member of Indus Share, some people were saying. It was one of the wrestlers, one of the people I saw on Twitter said it was a member of Indus Share that actually posted the winner of the winner-take-all match between Adam Cole and Keith Lee on his Instagram. Now, again, exit out of the video because I'm going to reveal. I'm actually looking at it right now. I'm looking at the photo right now, and it was actually leaked on Twitter, and multiple sites got on it, including Sportskeeda. Screenshots were sent in to Sportskeeda, and it appeared that Keith Lee was standing tall in the ring while pyro and confetti exploded around him as he holds both title belts up. So Keith Lee apparently is the new NXT champion. He is the first man in history to hold both the NXT North American title and the NXT title. Now, I'm going to give my thoughts on that when we talk about it next week, because I actually want to save my thoughts on that. We're going to talk about what we are going to talk about as far as night 1 goes. But I do want to start off by talking about the constant bickering back and forth, because a lot of people have been saying, oh, this is good competition. NXT's doing it for competition. Well, in hindsight, yeah, you can make that argument, but at the end of the day, there is a main difference between desperation and competition, and I'm going to explain that in just a minute. But, yes, Keith Lee is the first ever double champion in the brand's history, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that next week. But as far as this week goes, this is the Rewind for the Great American Bash, night number 1. Please follow me on Twitter at HistoryMakerDJS. Follow me on Instagram and Periscope at TheDJStorms. Add me on Facebook. For collaborations and business inquiries, please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Of course, like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook, that is. All the links are in the description. If you missed the Rewind for AEW Fyter Fest 2020 night number 1, that link is in the description. That's doing very well. Please go check that out. That actually premiered yesterday. Here's what I want you guys to do. If you haven't already done so, I need you guys to hit the thumbs up. Because when you come in, you gotta hit that thumbs up. I got goals to maintain. Now, I don't get paid for this. But I set goals for myself. So I need you guys to hit that thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please. It would greatly help. And when you hit that thumbs up, you gotta comment down below. Or at least keep the chat alive for now. If you guys are watching this after it's already premiered, please comment down below or keep the chat alive. Give me your thoughts on the Great American Bash and everything that was the Great American Bash. Also, now, when you keep the chat alive and when you comment, you gotta hit that subscribe button as we are on the road to 2,100 subscribers. I need you guys to help me get to 2,100. I want you guys to help me get over 2,100. We want to get to 2,200 subscribers. I am a greedy son of a bitch, and my greed can only be satisfied by more subscribers. I have an illness, and the only cure is more subscribers. Sorry, that was a terrible reference there to an SNL segment. But regardless of that, please hit that subscribe button. And when you hit that subscribe button, please hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way, you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is the best time to be on YouTube. The only time when you get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful quarantine mustache. I just gotta comb it. Yeah, just gotta comb it. I'm actually going to be getting a haircut very, very soon. Don't worry. I'm going to touch this all up. This is going to be a lot shorter. Should be a lot more toned. Trust me, it's going to look fantastic, people. But anyway, enough of the self-brand promotion, enough of the advertisements. We're going to get straight into the review. But first things first, I need you guys to understand something here. I understand what competition is. And I understand that competition makes everyone better, in a sense, but you need to take a look at the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is NXT, or WWE at least, because I don't really want to blame NXT. I don't want to blame Triple H, because I know for a fact that Triple H, he didn't want to do half of the shit done with NXT over the course of the last 8-9 months. WWE has become desperate. There's a difference between desperation and competition. Competition is when you're using the resources at your disposal, your disposal that you have for said specific show, and you're building storylines, and you're building feuds, you're making matches, and you're building stars with the current roster members. That makes sense. And you're not swaying from that. That's what made NXT so great, because they didn't need to take resources from outside of their realm. They didn't need to reach outside the box to bring in resources. Bring in resources that they think will draw in more viewers just for the simple fact of drawing viewers. There's a difference between competition where you're putting a product out there that you're building with the members on your roster. You're not taking members from other rosters or taking ideas from other shows and placing them on your show just because you think it's going to draw people to your show and away from another show. That's desperation, whether you want to admit it or not. The fact that Sasha Banks is on NXT, that's desperation. That's not competition. The fact that they brought in the Great American Bash, just the name value alone, with no build, no storyline, no hype, they just announced it on Twitter, that's desperation. The fact that Vince McMahon is now having his influence over NXT. They're bringing in main roster members. They're bringing in all of these individuals from Raw and SmackDown. They're having a double championship match on NXT, which already took place. That's desperation. It's not competition. What they were doing from October to March, that was competition. When they were building their storylines and they were building their feuds with Finn Balor and Johnny Gargano. Finn Balor turning heel. Adam Cole defending the NXT Championship on NXT against Finn Balor. Adam Cole and Tommaso Ciampa building their program towards NXT TakeOver Portland, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. That was competition. Because the best part about competition is that between wrestling shows, you're not worrying about another wrestling show, because if you're so focused on another wrestling show, then your product ultimately is going to suffer, because you're not worrying about what you are doing, and you're worrying about what someone else is doing. And I don't mean to rant and rave, because the Great American Bash Night 1, it was a fairly good show. It was actually very good. We got some great wrestling on the show. And we actually got a nice bridge tonight, too. And we actually got a lot of interesting storylines to follow up. We got a new #1 contender. We had a great women's wrestling match in the main event. Even though it did have some main roster-like material in it, which I'll go over. I don't want to come off as ungrateful because we actually got a very good wrestling show in the Great American Bash. But ultimately, ever since WrestleMania, you could see the desperation in WWE. They're just merely putting shit out there on NXT just for the simple fact is that they want to draw ratings and they're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about what is to come. They're not focusing on building new stars, and they're bringing in Sasha Banks and they're bringing in Bayley and they're putting out main roster-esque comedy material with Robert Stone and Aaliyah. And they're focusing on that. That's starting to infiltrate NXT, and it's only going to get worse as the weeks go on. I can sense it. I'm actually surprised that just now, Vince is starting to take over NXT. I thought Vince would have taken over NXT by the end of 2019. Ever since the move. I actually thought that Vince was going to take over NXT since the move directly to USA Network, because that was his initiative. AEW even made it clear they didn't want a war. This is all on WWE trying to counter-program AEW because they're afraid. Because Vince McMahon does not want anyone else to succeed unless it's under his watchful eyes. Trying to monopolize the industry when he doesn't even realize that the industry needs variety in order for wrestlers to succeed. Without variety, then he's not going to have any talent to scout from any other promotions. You need variety and you need other promotions. You can't be at the center of the industry. Not all the money from all the promotions in the world can flow directly to your pocket. AEW has not shown one single care towards what NXT is doing. They have not shown one single care for what WWE is doing. And don't give me the bullshit. Don't give me the bullshit that, they're taking shots at the WWE. So what? They're taking shots. They're taking little shots at the WWE every few weeks or so. Who cares? There's a difference between taking a shot in a promo or in a little segment with a superstar or a storyline. There's a difference between taking a shot and pulling in shit like bringing in a main roster superstar or making a double championship match. There's a difference between doing that. There's a difference between doing that and taking a petty shot. AEW, they didn't just announce Fyter Fest with no build whatsoever. They built Fyter Fest up over the course of a month. NXT, they deliberately put the Great American Bash out specifically to counter-program Fyter Fest because they did not want the ratings to swift back in AEW's favor. And clearly it worked because NXT won the ratings this week. Now, I'm glad that NXT is getting more eyes, but in a sense, this is just a taste of what we are to get with Vince McMahon when he eventually takes over. He's pretty much shoving it in Triple H's face right now. Ha ha ha, my method worked. Triple H, I guarantee you right now, he doesn't give a shit about AEW. He's just doing his own thing and he wants to build the future. Meanwhile, you have Sasha Banks and Bayley, and you had Charlotte on NXT before, and you have all of these main roster talents. You're going to have more main roster talents on NXT. You're pretty much taking away the entire concept of NXT, and you're killing the aura of NXT. Again, there is a difference between competition and desperation. NXT, in this show, very good show, but they didn't work with the resources that they had, and they were forced to bring in other resources from other places because they felt it would draw ratings, and it did draw ratings. It was a desperation attempt for ratings. That's it. But regardless, this was a very good show. Outside of a few things here and there. The show actually started off with a very good Fatal 4-Way Elimination match. Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai versus Mia Yim versus Candice LeRae. Number one contenders match to see who would be Io Shirai's first challenger. We had some nice swift back and forth between all four women. Mia Yim was able to hit Protect Your Neck on Candice LeRae, and Candice LeRae was eliminated. I had a feeling that Candice LeRae was going to get eliminated first by Mia Yim since their storyline is continuing into the coming weeks, into night 2 of the Great American Bash, actually, which we'll talk about later. So the match continued. We had 2 suicide dives by Mia Yim, one for Nox and one for Kai. Mia Yim then hit soul food on Nox. Nox was taken out momentarily, and Dakota Kai came in and rolled up Mia Yim into a nice bridging pin. Nice back bridge pin for the elimination. And Kai eliminates Mia Yim. So now we're down to 2. The 2 that I expected it to be. Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai. And I love the back and forth between Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox. And you could really tell they work very well together. And it's mainly because they're friends in real life. It's like the female version of Gargano and Ciampa. So, we had nice back and forth. Kai with the chiropractor, but Nox was able to kick out. Kai was able to roll through into a crucifix and locked in the rings of Saturn. Nox rolled her up for a 2. Kai was able to kick out. Nox, swift headbutt. Molly go round and the shiniest wizard and Tegan Nox. Tegan Nox shocks Dakota Kai and wins the Fatal 4-Way. Tegan Nox is Io Shirai's first challenger. Very good women's Fatal 4-Way match. And you know something? I don't mind this whatsoever. A lot of people were thinking it was going to be Dakota Kai because Dakota Kai has been the main focus of NXT television the last few weeks. She's been winning and winning and winning. But realistically speaking, what value does she really have as to why she should be challenging for the championship? What, just because she beat Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro? I think Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro are vastly underrated. I love Casey Catanzaro, by the way, fellow New Jersey girl. But at the end of the day, who's Kaden Carter? Who's Casey Catanzaro? They've been used as enhancement talents. I'm sorry, Casey, but I love you, Casey, but she's an enhancement talent. So realistically speaking, why is anyone going to take Dakota Kai seriously? Especially after she was the one pinned at NXT TakeOver in your house by Tegan Nox. So Tegan Nox, realistically, has momentum because she pinned Dakota Kai to win that 6-woman tag at TakeOver. And here, she pins Dakota Kai again, and she earns the right to face Io Shirai. This actually makes a lot more sense. I don't mind this. Have Dakota Kai wait. Build her up a little bit more. Hell, maybe Dakota Kai doesn't even get a shot at the NXT Women's Championship. Maybe they're building up Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez to take the Women's Tag Team Championships off of Sasha Banks and Bayley. That I wouldn't mind. But Tegan Nox, I actually have no problem with this, and I'm actually very much looking forward to seeing what she can do against Io Shirai. I think that this is actually a very good move. I think that Io Shirai and Tegan Nox are going to put on a very, very, very good match. And this is actually a good opportunity for Tegan Nox because I feel as though Tegan Nox, she's been kind of shafted and she's been kind of overlooked in a sense. She's been overlooked in a sense, and she's been caught up in the storyline with Dakota Kai for months and months and months on end now. And it seems as though it's never going to end. I feel as though this was finally the end to that feud. And now Tegan Nox can focus on something else, which is the NXT Women's Championship. I think that Io Shirai and Tegan Nox are going to knock it out of the park when this eventual match takes place. I'm actually surprised that they didn't announce this match for next week. I thought that they were going to announce it for next week, Great American Bash, night number 2, since it's a 2-night event. So moving on from that, we had Timothy Thatcher versus Oni Lorcan. This was a fucking fight. Let me tell you something, this was a fucking fight if I have ever seen one. These two went in there and they were literally beating the shit out of each other. I would not want to be on the receiving end of any strikes delivered by Oni Lorcan or any submission maneuvers delivered from Timothy Thatcher. This was brutal. Very technical to start it off. Oni Lorcan, he was uncorking the fucking chops. Oni Lorcan, let me tell you something. Oni Lorcan's chops are probably the second deadliest chops I've seen, right behind Walter. Oni Lorcan just fucking bear palms your chest. I don't know what is it about Oni Lorcan, but he has got hands so huge that when they chop you, I'm telling you, they'll leave a fucking handprint on your chest. I would not want to be chopped by Oni Lorcan. So these two went back and forth. They actually got into a slapping fest. Oni Lorcan was doing a thing where he grabbed Timothy Thatcher's beard, slapping him in the side of the head. Oni Lorcan eventually rolled through into a Boston Crab. Thatcher rolled through into a pin, but then he reversed it into a Fujiwara armbar and wrenched on the arm. Oni Lorcan tapped out, and Oni Lorcan loses to Timothy Thatcher. Timothy Thatcher wins a very, very good match. A fucking fight if I had ever seen one. Timothy Thatcher continues his momentum after his big win over Matt Riddle in the Fight Pit, which was also a great match. Where does Timothy Thatcher go? I don't really know. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure where he's going to fit into anything. Now, based on what had happened, they could be building Timothy Thatcher up for the North American Championship, and I'm going to talk about that more when we talk about the Great American Bash Part 2. But Timothy Thatcher wins. He continues his momentum. I got no problem with it. It was a fucking war. A fucking fight if I'd ever seen one. Timothy Thatcher, he could be next in line to challenge Keith Lee for the North American Championship. Next we had Rhea Ripley versus Aaliyah and Robert Stone. This was terrible. This was terrible. This was terrible. Should not have even been on the show. And I feel so bad for Rhea Ripley. I feel so bad for Rhea Ripley. This was main roster garbage. Main roster garbage. Everyone, at least everyone with a brain, like me, has been saying the same exact thing. You know, it sucks because Robert Stone, he went from a decent partnership with Chelsea Green, which I was actually for, and now he's here doing this comedic bullshit with Aaliyah and Rhea Ripley. Might I also mention that Chelsea Green, there's no plans for Chelsea Green to go up to the main roster. Yet she's been off of television for over a month. What was the point of splitting Robert Stone and Chelsea Green up if Robert Stone was going to be the focus of this entire breakup? Chelsea Green hasn't been seen once since her initial win with Charlotte Flair in that tag team match where Robert Stone was last her manager. Why did you break them up? Why did you break them up if you weren't going to push Chelsea Green in the women's division? I feel as though Chelsea Green now has been shafted for this comedic bullshit. I feel as though this was a Vince McMahon move. To push Robert Stone in this comedic role to try and influence some sports entertainment on NXT. Meanwhile, I've said it once and I will say it again, sports entertainment is not professional wrestling. Sports entertainment is an outdated facade that doesn't work anymore. The times have changed. It's not about this sports entertainment comedic bullshit. It's about professional wrestling. Why do you think AEW is praised so much? Even though it's not perfect, but why do you think it's praised so much? Because they're actually putting forth a professional wrestling product. Sports entertainment is nothing more than a facade used to brainwash the fucking idiots of the community into believing that it has something to do with professional wrestling. Sports entertainment, this isn't a fucking soap opera, this isn't General Hospital, this isn't Regular Show, this isn't Adventure Time. If you want entertainment as far as that garbage goes, go watch those shows. And I love Adventure Time, I love Regular Show, but I didn't mean to call them garbage, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. The entertainment is in the wrestling. Build your product around professional wrestling. You are a wrestling company. Build your product around wrestling and get rid of this fucking sports entertainment facade. Last thing I need is Akira Tozawa and his Jackie Chan ninja ripoffs coming into NXT and doing the 24/7 title bullshit there. You know that's happening. It's gonna happen one day. This match was fucking atrocious. Rhea Ripley wins, as she should. Rhea Ripley now has a couple wins behind her. Who cares? At the end of the day, the damage is already done for Rhea Ripley. Even if they rebuild up Rhea Ripley and have her go and challenge Io Shirai, it won't mean anything at the end of the day. The damage has already been done. The damage has already been done with Rhea Ripley. To be quite honest with you, I don't care to see Rhea Ripley challenge for the NXT Women's Championship anytime soon. And to be quite honest with you, I have zero faith that they would book her correctly on the main roster. Because realistically, the next stop for Rhea Ripley, after she challenges for the NXT Women's title and ultimately loses, the next stop is the main roster. And they've already killed all of her momentum. There's zero hype around Rhea Ripley. Dexter Lumis versus Roderick Strong, the first ever NXT strap match. I thought this was actually a fairly good match, but I feel as though people were judging this match based on what we saw with Bryan and Wyatt at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship. And that match in itself, I would say, was the new standard bearer for what a strap match is to be like. Now, that match was a great match, and I feel as though it really helped that Daniel Bryan was such a good babyface, and they told such a great story in that match. As far as this match goes, Dexter Lumis, he's still developing. Dexter Lumis is still developing, and Roderick Strong is a heel that has gone as far as he can go in NXT. NXT Tag Team Champion, North American Champion, member of the Undisputed Era. And now he's just waiting the call-up to the main roster. Undisputed Era, they're pretty much waiting the call-up to the main roster because they've gone as far as they can go. So, it was good. I would say it was good. But considering that it had such a high standard to live up to, with Bryan and Wyatt being the last strap match, I feel as though people kind of judged it a little harshly, myself included. It was good for what it was, and it did the job. So, Loomis, he continued to toy with Roderick Strong all match. He actually opened up the trunk of one of the sports cars out on the stage. And that was actually pretty funny. So, Strong, he eventually took over control. He started saying, "Stay down, Dexter." He started whipping Dexter with the strap. Dexter, he caught Strong with a huge lariat, turning Strong inside out. Big clothesline and a bulldog combination for a 2. We had Loomis whipping Strong with the strap. Loomis was placed on the top rope and Strong with a big superplex for a 2. Fish came out to help Strong. Strong hit a sick kick on Dexter Lumis, but Loomis kicked out again. Then we had Bobby Fish trying to get involved, but Bobby Fish got run over by the strap. Loomis was on the attack. He took out Fish. Then he locked in the triangle choke, which he called the silence, on Roderick Strong. And Dexter Lumis submits Roderick Strong. Triangle choke, the silence with the strap. Good match, and Loomis gets the win. Based on what happened with Velveteen Dream, it does not look like Dexter Lumis and Velveteen Dream are going to be a tag team anytime soon. To be quite honest, I'm still waiting Dream's release. As far as Dexter Lumis goes, I don't know where he goes from here. Because realistically, this was the blow-off match. Great American Bash, strap match, that was it. Where does Dexter Lumis go from here? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Now, he could be next in line for the North American Championship, but I feel as though it's a bit too soon for Dexter Lumis. And I feel as though Dexter Lumis, he really is missing that something. And I feel as though it's the crowd reaction. I feel as though we can't really judge Dexter Lumis too much, considering that Dexter Lumis, while he is a decent in-ring performer, he can wrestle. He can wrestle a good match, but at the end of the day, I feel as though the main thing that's going to get Dexter Lumis into that superstar position is the character that he portrays. The fact that he's just impervious to pain, and he doesn't speak, his facial expression doesn't change, and that's what's going to get him over. And we don't have the crowd. We don't have that crowd. We don't have the innovative chants. We don't have the innovative reactions from the NXT universe to really judge whether Dexter Lumis is succeeding or failing. Now, based on what's been happening since they're pairing him with the Undisputed Era, you can definitely tell that Triple H has high hopes for Dexter Lumis, and he does have faith in Dexter Lumis. Excuse me. It's from all the hours I've been working. Please, bear with me. But I'm not really sure where Dexter Lumis goes from here. I guess we'll have to wait and see in the coming weeks. I don't really see him factoring into any major storylines in the summer. I don't really see this storyline with the Undisputed Era continuing. This was realistically the blow-off match. Where does he go from here? A potential North American title match? I don't know. I really don't know. So we had Legato del Fantasma, Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, and Raul Mendoza coming out to address the crowd. And I am really loving Legato del Fantasma. And I'm glad that Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde are getting back into the ring next week because, again, the tag team division could really use some more teams. And if you're going to insert Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde into the tag team division, I actually think that they could be a very nice addition to the tag team division. And if they wanted to, I think that they could very well be really good heel tag team champions with Santos Escobar as the NXT Cruiserweight Champion, if they want to go that route. I'm not sure if they are going to go that route, but I definitely wouldn't mind them going that route. So Legato del Fantasma came out to address the crowd. So Escobar, he took the microphone. Escobar, he looks great. I really love the Spanish Mafia type vibe that they give off. It's a very nice vibe. They look badass. So Escobar, he says that Lucha Libre used to transcend the wrestling ring. I'm sorry, I'm reading in his accent. I'm trying too hard. I'm trying too hard sometimes. Let it be known, DJ Storms is trying too hard. So, he says that they were role models, but everyone else settled for masks and flips. He says that you were led to believe that that's Lucha Libre, but you were wrong. He says that they will rediscover the roots of Lucha Libre in their image, in my image, and we will leave a legacy they can be proud of. So Maverick then came out with a neck brace. He removed the neck brace, went after Legato del Fantasma, and I love Santos Escobar's line. I think that if they want to make this his tagline, his catchphrase, I would love it. He goes, "I told you, little man, no one can touch me." If they want to make that into a t-shirt, I definitely wouldn't mind that. I love Legato. I'm loving Legato del Fantasma. So, Escobar was about to finish off Maverick before Breezango came out to make the save. They sent Legato del Fantasma running. Fandango took the microphone and he says, "Great American Bash, night number 2, you're going to have no place to hide." And a 6-man tag match was made later on for next week. Mercedes Martinez is also debuting next week. Should be good. We had Cameron Grimes cutting a promo after Damian Priest cut a promo earlier on in the night. So Cameron Grimes declared himself the number 1 contender. Yeah, that's not happening. Cameron Grimes is going to be the next victim of Damian Priest. And Damian Priest is going to gain some momentum back. I'm still actually a little concerned as to why Damian Priest did not walk out of TakeOver victorious. But regardless, I'll get over it. Mia Yim and Candice LeRae, they were embroiled in a backstage fight earlier on in the night, which led them to announce that next week we were going to have a street fight between Mia Yim and Candice LeRae next week, which I am very much looking forward to. I think that Candice LeRae is going to take the win, since Candice LeRae is definitely in need of a big win. We got Legato del Fantasma versus Drake Maverick and Breezango, and we got Adam Cole versus Keith Lee. Winner take all next week. As you can see, I already told you guys the result, as the result has been leaked on social media. I'm going to go over the match when we eventually watch the match, and I'm going to talk to you guys about my personal feelings towards Keith Lee winning the championships next week. So in the main event of night number 1, Great American Bash, we had Sasha Banks versus Io Shirai, champion versus champion, NXT Women's Champion versus Women's Tag Team Champion. Now, there was a lot of main roster material in this. We had Bayley and Sasha coming out, and again, it's nothing more than a desperate attempt for ratings. And I guess it just goes to show you that Sasha Banks is a draw, bigger draw than Charlotte. Because Sasha Banks and Bayley did what Charlotte couldn't do, and that's draw people to watch NXT. And on top of that, they actually got the NXT talent over. They did it with Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox, and here they did it with Io Shirai. But yet Charlotte is apparently the greatest female performer of our generation, according to the WWE, according to Ric Flair and all the other Charlotte Flair stans on Twitter. I know that my friend Michelle is actually watching. I know she's a Charlotte Flair stan. Shout out to her, actually. She actually created an awesome new header for my Twitter. So I actually got to shout her out. I'm actually not going to shit on her because she's a Charlotte Flair stan. I actually want to offer some praise to her because she did do an excellent job at creating a new header for me. And if you guys are looking for headers, if you're looking for banners, if you're looking for logos, she's excellent. She's excellent at what she does. She's an excellent designer. She's been dabbling in a lot of graphic designing as of lately. She created an excellent new logo for me. If you guys are interested in logos and banners and headers, hit her up. Hit her up. Her Twitter is fabulousboss_. Go look her up. Go DM her. She's awesome. She's great. She's a sweetheart, by the way, as well. But goes to show you that Sasha Banks is a draw, getting back to what I was saying. But at the end of the day, with Asuka getting involved like she did, it just reeked of main roster material. It's just such a stereotypical main roster route because Asuka, she lost to Sasha Banks clean on Monday in that mixed tag team match, which should not have taken place. Asuka should not have lost clean. Matter of fact, that mixed tag team match should not have even taken place. And on top of that, now you have Asuka come to NXT to get revenge on Sasha for pinning her in that mixed tag team match to help Io Shirai. And while it may set up Asuka and Io Shirai taking on Sasha and Bayley for the Women's Tag Team Championships, which could result in the greatest Women's Tag Team Championship match of all time, which I definitely wouldn't mind. But at the end of the day, it just reeked of main roster material because Asuka lost, Sasha Banks lost in the same week. Yet these two are in a women's championship match at Extreme Rules. And yes, it's going to be a great match, but at the end of the day, this build towards this women's championship match, it honestly reminds me of the build with Bayley and Ember Moon and how they failed to build up both Bayley and Ember Moon. Bayley was the SmackDown Women's Champion at that time in her first reign, and they failed to build up both women as legitimate contenders, and they failed to give anyone a reason as to why we should care about the match. Both women were losing going into that match at SummerSlam. Neither woman had momentum. Both women looked insanely weak. And now they're pretty much doing the same thing with Sasha Banks and Asuka. Both women lost. So how are we supposed to take them seriously going into this championship match? And they're both champions. How do you think that makes them look? A lot of main roster material right there that I don't like at all. And I don't like the fact how they're just shoehorning Sasha Banks and Bayley in there, no matter how good they are. And they're amazing. They're the best thing in the women's division on the main roster. Period. Period. But at the end of the day, why do you got to shoehorn them on NXT just to generate ratings? We didn't need Sasha Banks and Asuka both taking losses in the same week. I don't like that at all. Other than that, the match was excellent. Other than that, I thought the match was excellent. Matter of fact, my man TM161, shout out to him, he loved the match. I know that he was marking out that Sasha Banks and Io Shirai were having a one-on-one match on NXT. He actually reviews NXT first when it comes to the Wednesday Night Wars. So shout out to him. So Sasha came in riding on a car with her dog Ryu, and of course Bayley. Shirai came in, stereotypical entrance for Io Shirai, nothing too fancy, so she was in control early on. Beautiful suicide dive. I like Io Shirai's suicide dive. Instead of diving forward, she actually dives sideways. I actually thought that's actually a very nice change up from what we usually see from a suicide dive. And you got to do it right as well. Because it's easy to dive forward, but if you're diving sideways, you got to make sure you have enough momentum so that way your opponent catches you the right way. You have enough momentum so you reach your opponent, and that way you don't just plant face first on the concrete. So Sasha took over control. Nice joint manipulation here. Io Shirai with a huge Frankensteiner. Sasha sold it brilliantly. Frankensteiner from the middle rope. Big flapjack 619 and missile dropkick combination for a 2 count. We then had Banks locking in the bank statement. Back and forth roll-ups for a couple of 2 counts. Roll through. Double stomp by Io Shirai. Double knees. Double knees as well Banks with the double Meteora from the middle rope for a very close 2 count. Banks dove through the ropes into a sunset flip and a big power bomb into the plexiglass. I actually like how they have been utilizing the plexiglass on NXT. The plexiglass sucks. I think it's a stupid feature, but they're utilizing the plexiglass very nicely in NXT. So Bayley was able to get involved. She threw in the title. And she was trying to argue with the ref. Her and the ref were arguing back and forth with the Women's Tag Team Championships, pulling it back and forth. And then Sasha went for the other belt. But Asuka came out of nowhere, hit the green mist on Sasha. Sasha was blinded. Big uppercut palm strike to Sasha Banks by Io Shirai. And Io Shirai with a beautiful moonsault, picture-perfect moonsault, right to the back of Sasha. And Io Shirai beats Sasha Banks to close out Great American Bash Night 1 outside of the main roster antics with Asuka. And on top of that, I don't really like how they just threw this match together with no build, no storyline. Great match. Excellent match. I just don't like how they just threw it out there with no build and no storyline when realistically, this is a WrestleMania-like match. This went 15 minutes. If you gave these women another 10 more minutes, they could have put on a match worthy of main eventing WrestleMania. This match, if they wanted to put this match on in the main event of WrestleMania 35, I would have taken this match over the women's triple threat match in the main event of WrestleMania 35. This match was main event worthy. Excellent match. I would say outside of the main roster antics and outside of the horrific handicap match, I would say overall, Great American Bash, night number 1. Very good show in the long run. I just don't like the fact how it's just pure desperation. As I explained in the beginning, it's nothing but pure desperation on NXT's behalf. And it just goes to show you that when you are desperate, your show is going to suffer. When you're focused too much on what the other person is doing, then you are going to suffer. You in yourself are going to suffer. Me, I'm not worried about what anyone else is doing but me. I'm not focused on what any other content creator is doing. I don't care what any other content creator in the YWC, any other person in the IWC, I don't care what anyone else is doing. I'm focused on me and giving you guys the best possible product because I want to make sure that my brand is the best possible brand that it could possibly be. Although I'm DJ Storms, so of course I am the best. Period. The reason why I hashtag the best in all of my tweets. But regardless of that, that's besides the point. I'm sorry, I just needed to get that in there. I just needed to get that in there because I'm a cocky prick. I just needed to get that in there. But regardless, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of The Rewind. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. I will keep you guys updated on next week. Hopefully I'm not working again. If I am working again, then more likely than not, no Lightning Flash update. I'll probably do 2 rewinds. One for Fyter Fest Night 2. One for the Great American Bash Night 2. Now, I don't really want to say I hope I'm working next Saturday, but there's a small part of me that kind of wishes I am. Mainly because of the fact that I feel as though people just don't care about the WWE product right now, specifically Raw and SmackDown. So if I wasn't to review Raw and SmackDown and I wasn't to talk about Raw and SmackDown on a Lightning Flash update, then I feel as though it really wouldn't affect the overall growth of my channel. I feel as though if all the content creators really just stopped talking about Raw and SmackDown in this current state that we're living in, especially with the negligence of WWE with the COVID test and the fact that their weekly shows are just getting worse and worse and worse, especially now we got Bruce fucking Pritchard as head of creative for both Raw and SmackDown. So no one really cares about the overall WWE product. NXT finally had a rebound. And they had a very good show. Probably the best show of the pandemic era for NXT was the Great American Bash Night 1. But regardless, I feel as though people just don't care overall about the WWE main roster product. I feel as though if I wasn't to do a Lightning Flash update with Raw and SmackDown, then I feel as though people wouldn't care. People won't care. And obviously, it'll save me notebook pages. Save me notebook pages. I feel like I'm already halfway through with this fucking notebook already. I feel like it's gonna go quick. I'm telling you, it's gonna go quick. But no Lightning Flash update this week. I feel as though no one cares. I'm still gonna watch the shows. I'll still watch all the weekly shows like I usually do. I'll keep up to date with the news and rumors, trust me. But outside of the pay-per-views, I feel as though no one gives a shit. And even then, the pay-per-views aren't even that good. Realistically speaking, as far as main roster pay-per-views go, we've only had 2 good main roster pay-per-views this year. Money in the Bank and the Royal Rumble. Outside of that, every other pay-per-view has been a complete shitfest. So no one really cares in the long run. But sorry about that little rant. Little mini rant on main roster pay-per-views to close out the rewind for the Great American Bash. Again, thank you all who watched. I greatly appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. I hope you guys have a very happy, healthy, and safe 4th of July weekend. I'm DJ Storms. This has been The Rewind. I will catch you guys next week for The Rewind for AEW Fyter Fest Night number 2. You guys, keep it real.